All right, Dane. Well, thanks for joining me this morning for the interview. And, this is a real casual interview series with all of the candidates running for the 19th district. And so the first question we've been asking each of the candidates is, what's in your cup? Kind of a coffee house style interview. So it's been 11:30 this morning. What kind of drink do you like to have this time of the day?
I've had my fill of coffee this morning, but here's my lunch. It's a peanut butter protein smoothie from Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Campaigns are notorious for fast food, which obviously we try to avoid as best as possible. So a smoothie is a good alternative. So got a week to go. Just got to stay healthy as best as
Sure,
possible.
that's like got to be the easiest thing to have on the campaign trail. Just grab and go.
Yeah,
Lunch in a
exactly.
cup.
That's what it is, unfortunately. But this will work.
Awesome. Well, Dane, thanks for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it and making time for a few of the questions I had. The first one is real simple. It's just a little bit about your background, how you got involved in the race for Congress, and what initially inspired you to put yourself in the running for the 19th district.
Sure. And thanks for the opportunity to you and Fox 4 for being able to have this opportunity to talk to the listeners and the viewers. So I do appreciate that. My background, I'm born and raised right here in Southwest Florida, 37 years old now. And I first ran for the Florida House where I serve now back in 2012. We were coming out of the Great Recession, and being someone who's lived here my whole life and worked here. I'm a commercial real estate broker by trade, still am. Had my license for 19 years. It was tough to be a working class local citizen, and then seeing also your family, friends, and neighbors suffering through the recession as well. And had a lot of energy and passion for politics, so I wanted to put my action to my passion and ran for the Florida House. And in the last 8 years, we've done just that. We've cut our taxes by 10 billion. We've cut our debt by 8 billion. We've put 4 billion in reserves. So I'm a fiscal conservative first and foremost, and that's what I've been working on these past 8 years. And I'm term limited out of the Florida House, which is a wonderful thing. I firmly believe in term limits. I currently serve as the House Majority Leader there, so I got to get some other great things done. I had half a mind to come home and raise my family. I've got a 2-month-old who my wife and I are so proud of and enjoying. But also our country is heading in strange directions, and I have a lot of energy and care for my community and my country, and I wanted to keep working and keep fighting. So I decided to run for CD19. I've enjoyed the ride. We've got just over a week to go before the voters decide, but I certainly appreciate the consideration, asking for voters' votes, and appreciate this discussion today.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think you already touched briefly on it, but our second question is, what would your priorities be if elected our next congressman? You talked about being a fiscal conservative first and foremost. So talk a little bit about what your priorities would be, first things you tried to get accomplished if you were elected to office.
Sure, and there's many things that I am focused on. I mean, curtailing illegal immigration, building the border wall, term limits, balancing the budget is probably amongst the top priorities that I need to be focused on, because that's what I care about. That's what families are doing right now. I just mentioned we got out of the Great Recession around 2012 when I ran for office. Now we're heading into, or hopefully not a big one, but with COVID and the shutdown, we've certainly had a dip in our economy, and that's unfortunate, but that's real, and that's something that we're going to have to address moving forward. So I've already been able to do that in the Florida House. And that's something I want to be focused on in the U.S. House, making sure that we as a government, as a nation, are living within our means, not outside of it. We've got a $26 trillion debt. We're running on a $1 to $5 trillion deficit this year because of COVID and the CARES Act and things that are needed to address that. And that's uncalled for. We need to be able to be, again, living within our means. So we need a balanced budget. We need to be able to grow our economy. We need to cut regulations and cut taxes so that businesses can thrive and people can get back to work, and allow the American public, the American employers and employees, the ability to live and do and create that American dream, get government out of the way. So that is something I'll be focused on first and foremost.
Gotcha. Well, and you mentioned that you came to office during or just after, just following the Great Recession. Well, we're now in another bit of an economic crisis as a country. And as the last question I've been asking to each of the candidates, I really asked them to talk about what's going on in the country right now with with mass unemployment, social unrest, and obviously the COVID-19 pandemic. How do you feel like your role in Congress and Congress as a whole can work together to try to address some of the major problems our country's facing?
Sure. And this is, you're exactly right. You framed it well. And that's something I've been studying all along. It's an economic, it's a social, it's a health crisis that our country is facing. And I think all of it is intertwined. You know, COVID hit and we shut down in a lot of areas. And then that became a economic crisis where people were stuck in their homes, are not creating jobs. And then there's social unrest. And then you see rioting in the streets. I mean, it is terribly unfortunate to see where our country is right now, but we need to get back on the right track. And we do need to look to our leaders to lead by example and implement the right policies. I support our policemen and women. In fact, I've been endorsed by the Police Benevolent Association, so I believe we need to stick strongly to law and order and make sure that we don't have this social unrest, that we are abiding by laws. But beyond that, we do need to get our country back on the right track. So we need to fix our economy. I think we need to allow businesses to get back to work. Look, here in Florida, bars and breweries are still shut down. Restaurant and retail are at 50%. No business goes into opens their business on day one and says, I can't wait till we get to 50% and stop. That's not the case. We need to get to 100%. I do think our governor and our president have done a phenomenal job. The president by leading by example and making sure that the knowledge is out there. He's cut down the FDA regulations and studies so that we can get a vaccine working more quickly, because I think it is imperative that we do have those for those who choose to take that vaccine. And I think our governor's done a great job by at least allowing, he's finding that strong balance between life and liberty. We need to have the ability and the freedom to go out and do our own thing and create jobs, like I said, and stir our economy. But also there is a virus and the governor's trying to balance that. So I think he's done a great job with that, but we need to get back to opening first and foremost. And Congress is certainly going to be at the forefront of paving that way. I don't necessarily love to see more stimulus packages. What I would love to see is our government reopening, get regulations out of the way, allow the American worker to get back to work, and our economy is going to do just great if we let the American people do what they do best.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for such a thorough answer to all of my questions. And really, at the end of the interview, I just wanted to give you a little time to give your pitch to voters who might be considering putting your name, filling in your bubble on the ballot come August 18th.
Sure. And thanks again for that opportunity. Look, we are about to elect our fifth congressperson since 2012 here in CD19. So we haven't had that stability. And that is something I offer. Someone who's been born and raised here, someone who's a strong conservative in Tallahassee. My plan is if you send me to Congress, I will work and represent you. I believe in term limits, but I plan to be there for at least 8 years, as I've done in the Florida House. And then I'd come home and live under the laws that I passed. But I'm someone who you can send there. You can have faith in. I've got a voting record that you can count on. And look, there's a lot of dirt flying around as we get to the end of this end of the race, which is unfortunate. And if all of it was true, I wouldn't vote for myself. That's how crazy it is. So what I would encourage voters who are still wondering who they're going to vote for, you can visit my website at daneeagle.com. You can even email me at dane@daneeagle.com, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. And I certainly am asking for your vote. We've got a large fight ahead of us, as we just talked, economic, social, health crisis. We need to have leadership that we can count on, and you can count on me. I am asking for your vote, and I appreciate this opportunity.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Dane. That was succinct, clear, and very detailed. I appreciate it.